Okay. You know what I mean? I've worked with multiple. I'm from I work with kids. I felt that very. I think that was
Okay.
So what is that?
When do I see pictures of some of the ads, though, we have them? Images of the advertising?
Never had those. Just I could just tell by the. Tell me
Oh,
that's how they
Good evening. We will call to order the Planning and Zoning Board for the City of Deltona, Wednesday, December 13th, 2023. Will you please, can we run the roll call, please?
Member Gonzalez.
Gonzalez, aye.
Alternate D'Erico.
Here.
Member Sixma.
Here.
Alternate Cardo.
Here.
Member Rodriguez.
Here.
Vice Chair Burke.
Present.
Chair Alexander.
Present. Thank you. We will move on to the approval of the minutes and agenda. Has everyone had an opportunity to review them? Is there any comments or yays or nays or issues? If not,
I think everything's in line. I will make a motion, minutes for November 15th, 2023 meeting be approved.
all right. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you very much. Motion to approve in a second. So all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed?
Aye.
We are moving on. Thank you. That's November President. Do we have any presentations and awards or reports this evening? I might commend the staff on the great Christmas lights. They certainly make it look nice.
The only thing I have is I was asking for a consensus to get rid of the iPads.
Why? Who was that, by the commission or by someone here?
We've had trouble with the iPads, and it's taken up a lot of staff time trying to get the iPads to work. So that's why we were asking for that. That's why we brought in binders for you guys.
Well, that's a lot of work, too, to put those binders together, I would imagine, for you all. But I don't have any, is there like an option here that we have that we can give our 2 cents, or does it matter? It's just they're gone?
No, I need you guys to all agree to it pretty much before we can.
Okay, well.
I'll put my 2 cents. I always like paper because you can write and make notes on it. So my vote's paper.
So you don't mind?
No.
We buy electronics, I buy papers. I write notes on it, too.
All
Agree.
right.
I'm fine.
Without it?
Very good.
I'm fine with the
Manny, then,
I personally prefer paper when I'm sitting up
I
here.
think you're talking to the
Because I
wrong,
can,
I think you're talking to the wrong generation about it. You know, about it. And I bring my own because, so thank you very much. I hate to see if any other work, like I said, that gets put on you all, that it might have been easier electronically, but do y'all do what you need to do? We'll go with the flow.
Perfect.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so no other presentation awards, and that's done. The removal of iPads is voted on, and we'll move on to the public forum. I'm going to mention, do we have people that are going to be speaking today yet? And do you need to swear?
There were some folks who came and they thought they could just speak to you. They want a variance approved that has not been advertised or put in proper form for any of you.
We can't.
I explained.
That's not working.
Hearing me?
There you go.
And I explained we can't do it that way, and that I and Caitlin will work with them on this variance that is very time sensitive to try and get it on your January agenda. But they thought perhaps they could talk to all of you and you could approve the variance in that manner, and it is not, there is no legal way to do it.
No.
So I just want, it's not that we're not trying to accommodate people, we just can't do it in that manner. So I just wanted you to know that's me, that was why I was in the back talking to those folks and trying to explain. But we'll do everything we can to help them if we can.
Well, that's correct. It's not just the order or the order that we have to run it through, or it has to go through staff and all of that. But it is also true that we don't have time to add a fourth person, or fourth point here anyway. But that's moot because you really have to go through the process whoever you're on. Sorry about that, but you'll get your day. If you'd go through, just please talk to Marcia about that, the city attorney. Yeah, do we have any old business that nothing's on the staff, so we're good there. All right, we will move on to, we have a full plate this evening, new business. Do you have anyone you need to be swearing in, Marcia, about this for new business? Do you have any, is there any?
Yes.
Yep.
There's a lot of swearing that needs
A lot of swearing.
to
Oh, what would be a meeting with
Mr. Chair, I will swear in whoever needs to be sworn in, and then at that point, you will poll your board with regards to ex parte termination. Yes.
Yep.
Will anyone who's going to offer testimony in this matter stand and raise your right hand? Do you swear to tell the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Thank you.
Attorneys don't need to be sworn in?
No.
I didn't, okay. All right, and now to our board. Has anyone had any ex parte communication on any of these three issues that are coming before us?
We're just doing one at a time.
Yeah, okay, we'll deal with the others when we get up to them.
Yes, please.
If we just go down the member Gonzalez? No. And alternate Tara? Dear?
No.
I have not.
No.
Vice Chair Burke?
No.
No?
No.
I have to say, I did have a conversation late this afternoon with the applicant's attorney. So, but just and a question on understanding something. I don't think it crossed anything that had to do with. And that was it. Okay. On the new business, we have then everyone's covered. If we could move on to this ordinance 02-2024, amending the Deltona Village Business Planned Unit Development BPUD to rezone and include additional 2596 acres of land to be included within the Deltona Village BPUD. Steph, you're on.
Thank you. Can I have the PowerPoint pulled up, please? It is, but it's not showing on the screens. Oh, there we go. Never mind. All right, good evening, Planning and Zoning Board. My name is Jessica Entwistle, Planner 2 with Planning Development Services. The Deltona Village BPD is a major amendment, ordinance number 02-2024. This amends the current BPUD to include approximately 25.96 acres that was tabled on June 19th, 2023 by the City Commission. There we go. Sorry. I have provided a timeline for you to see the events that have happened to bring this item back to you. It's important to know the acreage was approved by you in March of this year with a 6-to-1 vote. The Commission denied this project in April. The applicant requested a rehearing in May. And on May 22nd, 2023, the applicant requested the item to be continued into the next meeting. On June 19th, 2023, per the applicant's request, the 25.96 acres was tabled, but ordinance number 04-2023 was approved. On October 16th, 2023, the applicant requested the 25.96 acres to be taken off the table. Right here in yellow is what we're approving tonight, or speaking about tonight. And this is the current zoning and aerial of the area. As you can see, it's the area around the concrete plant on Graves Boulevard or Avenue. The previous amendments are provided on the slide. In July 2018, the first amendment was approved to modify the lot sizes and change the multifamily use to not require a conditional use. The second amendment in 2021 added 8 parcels to the BPUD, and the third amendment this year updated the master development plan, increased the cap for multifamily, and added 0.61 acres of land. These are the matters of consideration when we look at rezoning any project. And it's important to note the rezone is consistent with the comprehensive plan and does not provide any additional trips to the original vested entitlements. By adding the 25.96 acres to the Deltona Village BPUD, it will become more unified. In adding the acreage, the city will be economically benefited by facilitating a larger and more unified development product. Therefore, staff does recommend the Planning and Zoning Board recommend the City Commission approve ordinance number 02-2024, amending the Deltona Village BPUD to rezone and include the additional 25.96 acres. And do you have any questions?
Any questions by the board at this point?
At this, okay.
I have a question. What has changed from the presentation that was presented to us in May or March?
The only thing that was changed is the portion that was approved, which was increasing the cap for multifamily, and they approved the master development plan being updated and the 0.61 acres that were added. So it's exactly the same minus those sections that were already approved.
And those are not before us tonight?
No, those have already been approved, and they're already approved ordinance and everything like that.
Thank you.
Anyone else on the board?
I have a question. There's got to be a purpose behind this, and I don't know what that purpose is. I hear it says that it's going to be more unified somewhere in this report. It says that it's going to facilitate the traffic between the property, where the theater is, and this new 25-point-something acreage. And unify and facilitate traffic within the property. I can understand that, but the way I hear is a lot of buying thesis, okay? Because the only access to this property is going to be to Graves Avenue. There's no other access. You're not going to get access through Howland at all. And then to have access to that parcel, to the parcel that is just east of there, which is theirs also, and to where the theaters are, you got to cross Graves and you got to cross Normandy. So what is that going to do to the traffic? Have we thought what's going to do Graves Avenue? Graves Avenue is being expanded in Orange City. What the heck is going to do to us in Deltona? What is the benefit to the city by doing this? And I'd like to ask, what's the benefit to the developer? The developer is in business to make money. So I would like to know what's behind their thinking about this 25.96 acres.
Yes, sir. I can let the applicant answer you for that one.
I'm sorry?
I'll let the applicant
I think
speak to you.
that's a question will come up for the attorney.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, I mean, have you thought of this thing in the process of making the recommendation?
Well, the trips are vested. They're allowed, I believe, 900,000 square feet of retail.
Over the entire project.
Over the
17,000 trips that are already vested, and we're not asking for any additional uses.
I'm sorry, but I cannot hear very well unless you get close to the mic.
I'm sorry, Kim Booker, Booker and Associates, here on behalf of the applicant.
Attorney.
Yes, attorney. The existing traffic analysis that was done in conjunction with the Deltona Village BPUD, of which this is being annexed into, has a vested number of trips that is a total of 17,000. Those trips included, and the analysis included this property already. You have already approved an urgent care facility in which that was acknowledged. The city has also, as part of the last amendment of the BPUD, acknowledged that the trips are vested, that the construction and improvements that were required to vest the trips under the development agreement have been completed and satisfied. So the prop share payments have been made through construction. And that All we're asking in conjunction with this property is because this property was one of the first parcels that went through the process that was acquired by the same owner in 2004. At that time, there was a development agreement that was approved when the original DRI was still in effect. That development agreement sat on the city attorney's desk and never was recorded. So there were entitlements, and the property's actually been taxed as if these entitlements exist. But because that development agreement wasn't recorded, nothing could be done on the property. So the easiest solution for the owner, because he has an existing development agreement, is to incorporate that 25.96 acres. He's not asking to increase the square footage. He's not asking for additional trips. He's just basically spreading out the development, so it'll be less dense. You'll have less density overall because you'll have more property, which is 166 acres. This is basically 6.4% of the total. And you will have the same amount of uses that are already provided in the development agreement for the existing 140 acres. So it's not going to impact, it's not going to create a difference. If there was an additional development that, in addition to what's already been approved, because you will have the same amount of development, you'll either have it all on the 140 acres or it can be spread out now on 166 acres. That's how we're doing. It's not going to increase traffic.
Why did the city deny the ordinance when first came before?
I believe because when we were going through, and this is speculation, but the actual Commissioner Jody Lee requested it be tabled, and your body approved it. So in my opinion, we should be just back at the commission, because the motion was to table that portion of it and bring it back as soon as possible. So they voted on all of it, but that portion of it. And I believe it was because they did not want apartments. They thought that somehow there were going to be, because they were increasing the number of residential units, that parcel was going to be apartments. And nobody wanted that. But the request was for the existing apartment site.
But they approved that.
They approved it.
But when they approved that, they didn't realize they were only approving it for a location different from what you speak of today?
No, they tabled this, only these 25 acres. They took it out and tabled it and said, we will vote on it later. We will vote on this, but we want to vote on this later. And they tabled it to come back to the commission. But staff wanted us to come back through the entire process, so that's why we're here.
Okay.
But the Planning and Zoning Commission had already approved it. And it has, this parcel was included in the conceptual plan. It was included in the traffic study. It just makes sense to make it part of the existing development agreement.
I just wanted to understand the history of it because it wasn't clear to me why it was back before us.
It was a little confusing at the time.
But now you've explained it sufficiently, so thank you.
I think, Manny, did you have another question? You look like you're going to.
My only thing is there going to be a presentation on your part?
No, as far as, we're here primarily to answer questions.
Is that
we don't have
there's
nothing more than what's been presented.
My question is, and just as a comment to one of you, what you said is, I think personally we have a right to change our mind with time because things change. Nothing is static. Okay? And what I heard you say is that the developer is going to, if I was making soup and I want more people to come in or perhaps more soup, I just add more water. So what you're telling me is that the developer is going to not increase the development at all. He's going to develop exactly what he had planned to do, except he's just going to take more land to do it. Do I understand you correctly?
It's a wider area.
It's a wider area.
166 acres for 900,000 square feet and 624 residential units. It's the same number. It could either be on the 140 acres that it has now, and believe me, I mean, he could come back and ask for more density on that parcel, but that's not what he wants to do. He just wants to be able to include it.
As of today.
As of today,
okay.
He'd have to come back to you to make a change. You would have to hear a change. and make a decision at that point. It would be a modification.
Yeah, my other question would be is, why is so much interest in this land, okay, to incorporate it into this all area when you got that ugly, I mean, it's a successful
concrete plant.
business, the concrete plant right there in the front of it?
Well, because he owns it, and he needs to sell it, and because the concrete plant, he actually, and Mr. Burbank, who's in the crowd here, was part of that, he attempted to try to relocate it because the city wanted the concrete plant relocated. He acquired property to relocate that plant, negotiated a contract with the concrete plant, and then the city decided they didn't want to relocate it to the location that he'd acquired the land in, and so it fell apart. But we would love to relocate the concrete plant if we could work another deal to do that, but because it's in the city's best interest that that concrete plant is not in the entrance of the city. But Mr. DeMarsh has incurred substantial amounts of money trying to work a transaction that would move that concrete plant, but it hasn't worked. So the reality of this, it's going to be somebody who doesn't really care that there's a concrete plant in front of them. You're not putting apartments there necessarily because they're right on a concrete plant. You're going to be putting some kind of commercial development that doesn't care about a concrete plant.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions?
Yes, sir.
I have one quick question.
Go ahead.
Good?
Thank you.
Can you speak to the delay between the time that commission denied or pulled this piece out of that application and March or May, I'm not sure which month was noted, to now we're in December?
Yes, actually we had a rehearing in July. The final decision, second reading was in July 17th of 2023. It was supposed to be heard as soon as possible. We didn't hear anything from the city. We sent a request in October to please put us on the commission agenda because in our opinion it was tabled from the commission. It should have just gone back to the commission. And there was a lot of internal discussion about whether it needed to come back to the board, the planning board, or whether it should be on the commission. And then, we were given the schedule, so here we are. You also had a lot of staff turnover during that time, and I don't think they had the ability to address it.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. So June, the city asked for it to be tabled, and then in October, the applicant requested to take it off the table. Was there a reason why that had happened?
In June, June 19th was the first reading. The motion was made by Commissioner Jody Lee to table that portion of it, and I think Anita Baker actually Bradford amended the motion to have it come back as soon as possible. And in July, the second reading occurred on July 17th. There was a lot of things that transpired in between that time. And in, I believe, immediately thereafter is when you had your planning director leave and the city manager left and a lot of staff members left, and we couldn't get anybody's attention on this. So officially, I don't know, the October 23rd date is probably an email date.
Okay.
But there were several conversations about getting it back on the agenda, and then there were several conversations about which body should hear it. So it wasn't delayed for any reason. We would have loved to have had it on the next hearing.
All right. And then just to be crystal clear, right? So the number of 624 units is not changing.
That was already approved. That was approved on July 19th, and the second reading was July 17th. That was all. The only issue that was outstanding was whether or not to include what I call the ICC property, because it was formally approved under a separate development agreement as the Interstate Commerce Center.
That's a long time ago.
So I refer to it as the ICC property.
Right.
That was the only issue. And that was apparently because there was some rumor that the apartments may be on that site. And that was never the intention. It was for the phase 2 of Integra, which is next to the movie theater.
All right. Great. Thank you. I have no more questions. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. So I want to clarify, Ms. Booker, that this was a part of the original plan, always was a part of the original plan, always was pre-approved a long time ago. The issue being that this section wasn't recorded by the city attorney at that time.
Well, it was a separate development agreement, and it was never recorded. It was approved by the commission, and it was a separate development agreement that wasn't recorded. But it was included in the Southwest Activity Center DRI. It was included in all the traffic studies that were done under this development agreement. You can see it in the development agreement. It has that property described in a sketch of it, reflecting the trips. It was always part of the overall project as far as the considerations.
And that total BPUD had certain restrictions on things, and the big thing being apartments. Has he reached his quota on that?
Yeah, currently we don't have any additional residential units unless we come back and ask for more.
That's what I want to get clear here. That this has nothing to do with apartments. He can't even put apartments on there or sell it to someone wanting to put apartments on there at this point, unless those people would have to come before us.
The ones that were approved on July 17th, the final reading,
so I just want to get that
are on the parcel next to the theater.
I just want to make sure that we all understand this has nothing to do with apartments or more apartments or anything like that.
We would have to come back and ask.
And okay, so he's, and what you make a good point, as a commercial person, that's going to be tough to sell anyway with that concrete plant there.
Yes.
I mean, so that may be the last piece that ever gets, I'm afraid
it's been sitting there for a long time.
Possibly get sold to it. And for those who also don't understand, I know that Mr. DeMarsh is not the developer. He's going to have to sell this. He's looking to sell the property to a developer, which will also come before this board more likely. Okay. I'm not sure that no one else has any other questions.
I do. What's the purpose with the fence going around it right now?
The fence, I believe, has to do with the donkeys and the cows, right? And trash.
And trash, because I noticed they just got through fencing that whole parcel in.
Trying to keep people from dumping.
I know, I can imagine. Okay.
For the record, that was to keep people from dumping, if you didn't, Mr. Okay.
Excuse me, Chairman?
Yes.
If you would indulge me for just a moment?
Pardon?
Would you indulge me for just a moment?
Absolutely, please. The chair recognizes
Phyllis Wallace, Public Works. Everything that Ms. Booker has mentioned to you this evening, I would concur with my limited involvement in planning and development over the last couple of months with the staffing changes that we've had, the leadership changes that we've had. But it was brought to my attention earlier today, and we did have a conversation with Ms. Booker regarding a couple of items that we feel should have been part of this package, and we're not, and we were hoping that we would get their agreement that they would submit these items to us. The plan was to ask for a continuation of this, even though the staff has already prepared a recommendation of approval. I've since been made aware that we do need a signed application. We do need an authorization of ownership. We do need some information from the applicant. There was a letter from Volusia County Traffic regarding the traffic concerns out there. And it's my understanding that that letter has since been possibly rescinded. We just don't have any documentation to that. So we would like to have that as part of our package. We do need an amendment to the development agreement and an updated master plan.
Why? I thought these were all included in the original plan. Even traffic studies and all that was done originally. So why are they still going back to try and reinvent the wheel here?
As she indicated, I received a call today around 2:30. There's a disagreement as to the process. Clearly, at the hearing before the commission, the matter was tabled and to be brought back to the commission. There was a conceptual plan that includes this parcel that was submitted. It's dated March 3rd, 2023. that was part of that application. That application included this parcel, and nothing's changed. They just tabled that portion of the hearing. So we don't need a new application. We've already submitted an application that included this. We've submitted the conceptual plan that included this. The only thing we're adding is annexing the property, which is a legal description, which is included in the resolution as far as Exhibit A. The existing development agreement is not changing at all, nothing other than the legal description, including this parcel. So we're not doing anything different. And the traffic letter that she's referring to was from the county. It was actually motivated by, I think, Ms. McCool. It was a question about whether we had satisfied our prop share requirements. We spent a majority of the hearing talking about this letter, another letter regarding a traffic study that was done, it was done in a couple days, so I don't think it was a legitimate traffic study, asserting that we should have to pay $8 million in a prop share payment in exchange for the residential units that were being added. That was all discussed at the hearing. The commission approved the decision, and it was already heard. It had nothing to do with the ICC project. Unfortunately, we've had a change of staff. We've also had a planning director that left, who is working for Orange City, who is now apparently aligned with the planning director here, temporary, interim, whatever you want to call. And some of these issues have been brought up today. We have in our development agreement that was adopted June 19th and the final reading July 17th, it specifically says we do not have to do a traffic study, no future traffic studies, as long as we are not changing the use or trips. We're not changing the use or trips here. And that language is specifically in the development agreement, which is in your packet. We also have language in there that's in the development agreement, and we have that acknowledges that we have paid the prop share. We have satisfied all of the requirements and conditions for our 17,000 vested trips. We're not asking for any additional trips. And there seems to be a lack of understanding of how a development agreement works. When a developer comes in and you do these traffic studies and you're giving 17,000 trips for this huge development at the time you're trying to attract people to the activity center, when other people come behind you, they have to account for those 17,000 trips. So the next developer is going to take into account those 17,000 trips in their project as if they already are done. So we're not impacting any more development than we've already been granted and invested. So if there's additional traffic out there, it should be addressed by those that are coming in with new projects, because they have to take the 17,000 that we have and use that as background traffic when they do their traffic analysis on their project. So the additional traffic is not being caused by our project. And so I've had these many discussions, but all of these items were raised at the hearing that was on June 19 and July 17. They are not relevant here. Our development agreement has vested trips. We are not adding any uses. We're not adding in trips. And our development agreement specifically says we do not have to do any future traffic studies as long as we're not doing that. So
it's dirt now, and it's going to stay dirt until he sells it, and then that's their problem. The person buys it.
We've submitted an application. We paid the application fee. We went to the planning board. We went to the commission. They took this one section out. We should just be back before the commission and letting them hear that one portion.
Let them deal with it.
So I don't see the rationale of why we're having to start over. We're not starting over. We have a conceptual plan that was presented. We have a resolution that includes the legal description. We should be able to move forward to the commission with this issue.
Well, personally, I think it reeks of a stall tactic, and I think Mr. DeMarsh has been put through quite a bit already on that, since we have commissioners either clearly are against development in this area. They don't want fast food, they don't want apartments, they don't want new housing additions. I'm not sure what they want us to do, but they want a big restaurant, which is only going to, if we have any chance of that, it's going to be on that activity center, is what I think. There's no other place until that's built out. But this particular land is, I don't see that's going anywhere for a long time, especially with that concrete plant. And I just don't, Deltona has a history of doing these kind of things to people, and it doesn't set well with me. I don't think this was all, my understanding, and that was my question today, that this was all approved. It's already been approved for a long, long, long time. If that had been recorded, we wouldn't even be here right now, is my understanding. And I don't see why they need to reinvent this whole thing again and go after all these other documents. That smells to me. And that's just my personal opinion. Anybody else have any other comments?
May I, please?
All right, please do.
To me is, I'm not going to question what has already been done and what has already been approved. I'm just questioning the motive behind trying to annex this property. Okay, I heard the attorney speak to the fact that we're going to put 900,000 square feet plus 652 units within 166 acres, where we were going to do it on 144 before. But then I think I heard her, and I'm sorry because I do lose things in translation, but I think I heard her say that there's nothing going to happen there on that property. First, we're going to spread out the construction of what originally was 144 acres, now to 166, but in another part of her speech, she says, no, we're not going to do anything with that. So to me, it's like smokes and mirrors here. I don't understand it. I am really, really confused now. I am very confused.
I don't think you do quite understand, Manny. They're not, again, it has nothing, this was always included. And yeah, I'll let you speak, Attorney Booker, if you want.
There's no hidden agenda here. He wants a land use designation on his property. He can go and try to go through a lot of hoops to get more, or he can just spread out what he has, because he has a large development. So if somebody would rather go behind the concrete plant, he could put part of that 900,000 square feet behind the concrete plant instead of behind the theater. That just allows him to use that entire area. It's not a hidden agenda. There's no reason. He could make a lot more money if he probably came back and fought the fight to try to get more building space on that site. That's the reality.
But that's not his plan.
He's tired. He's tired of doing it. So he doesn't want to do that.
Getting tired of fighting Deltona, I would imagine. As I recall, there was one time going to be someone was looking at put a car sales,
right,
automobiles or something at one time, wasn't there?
Mm-hmm. An auto mall, I think.
Yeah. But I don't think, again, I know Mr. DeMarsh, and I don't believe that any way that he's trying to get one over on us or try to do anything like that. That's not the situation at all.
I'm not sure what he could do. We're governed by the development agreement.
Yeah, that's the other thing. That's a good point, is that he is bound by the development agreement, and that still stands for that property. It always did. It was when it was originally prepared, and it will continue on exactly the way it was originally prepared. He's just asking that it get back on the table. Am I missing something there?
No, I just want to touch on the reason that we're asking for a new signed application is just to add it to our files. We're trying to make a clean record of everything for the Deltona Village BPUD. That's the only reason that we did ask for a new application. And we're just asking for it to be signed.
Well,
I just wanted to clear that part up.
Okay, sure.
We're just trying to clear our records to make sure everything is flowing and it makes sense. If anyone comes say everyone leaves for some odd reason and they have new staff, they have to be able to make sense of what's happened. That's the reason we're asking for an application.
Well, and I stand corrected. I mean, I apologize to you. By no means was that pointed at staff. I think you all do great. I didn't even know that it was your request for that part. There's several other documents on there that was there. You're not a part of, correct? That requests. Are they, and I got a question for you, Marcia. Are we bound by not what you all want to do, that we can't move forward? Can we still vote on this, and then can we find some medium ground here that they get one piece of the
application?
If I could answer.
Okay.
You've all heard about how we've had staff issues and people not, so as that has caused kind of a wonky response to all of this. The bottom line is we had a staff person, the planning manager, had come up with these questions. We felt like we had to bring them forward. We talked to Ms. Booker about it. At this point, I think, one, yes, you all can make a motion and vote on it. Two, we will take Ms. Booker's testimony in the transcript and basically give that to the commission as, when this is scheduled for hearing, and then they can determine based on her response to this list of issues how they want to proceed. So we don't want to engage in, no, do this, no, do that, you should do that. And that was not the intent. But again, because these things do get so inflamed as we deal with these issues, we felt like we had to put these things out there as this list and some of the issues that have come up from staff. So that's all. We can use, basically Ms. Booker's testimony, and you all can proceed to a motion and resolution.
And then you all can deal with that, getting the documents.
Yes.
Because, my understanding, again, it shouldn't even be in front of us.
No, I don't think so.
And if we could just give our opinion and then let her deal with the commission like she should have been in the beginning.
Yes. Much as I enjoy listening to Ms. Booker's response to whatever we ask at any given point, I think that we have enough that we can have in the transcript that all the commissioners will be able to read and deal with.
Yes, okay.
Okay.
And again, all right. So do we have to make a motion to vote on it and then a motion to do the vote? Two different? You just said we had to make a motion to vote on it.
To forward it.
But we can make a motion for what's in front of us. We don't have to ask ourselves if we can vote on it. Just the way you worded it. I want to make sure we're in the room. Okay.
I will move for a motion to recommend that the City Commission adopt ordinance 02-224.
Second.
And we have a motion to approve.
To approve.
And we have a second.
Yep. Second.
Shall we take a vote then?
I'm sort of shocked this has even had to come in front of us. It should have been. It seems like this was settled a long time ago, so I'm sorry that Mr. DeMarsh had to go through all this.
All right, so can we take a vote on this, Ms. Entwistle, or can we do that?
Member Gonzalez?
Yes.
This is for approval.
Approval, yes.
This is a quasi-judicial, so would you please, when you vote, say why you're saying yes? Okay? Or no? Please.
I'm voting yes for the fact that, one, it's, I was under the impression that it was already on the books. I got new to this committee, so I don't know what happened in the years past, but I like the idea of, instead of taking 5-pound bag and trying to put 10 pounds in it, we're now taking a 10-pound bag and putting 10 pounds of items in it by what you said was spreading out. So I want to vote yes for the approval.
Alternate D'Erico?
Yes, it is consistent with the comprehensive plan and does not provide additional trips from the original vested entitlements.
I vote yes because it fits with all the...
Shouldn't have to call your name.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Member Sixman, you can go ahead.
Yeah, I vote yes because it fits all the criteria and part of the Southwest Activity Center, the plan that we put in place 20 years ago plus, so.
Alternate Cardo?
I'm in support and voting yes, because the rezone and the addition of the approximate 25.96 acres is consistent with the comprehensive plan, does not provide additional trips from the original vested entitlements, and the additional 25.96 acres will result in a more unified and efficient development pattern while unifying the former ICC PUD property.
Member Rodriguez?
I vote no. I have not been convinced that the project is going to be spread over 166 acres. I think it's going to be remain with 144, and that land will just sit there as a grassy knoll for a long time. Thank you.
Vice Chair Burke?
I vote yes, for the reasons that I articulated when the matter first appeared before me. In addition, because it's consistent with the comprehensive plan. Also, the additional acreage will result in a more uniform and efficient development pattern. And for those reasons, that's why I voted yes.
Chair Alexander?
I vote yes to allowing it also for, it was included in the original plans. It is still under the restrictions of the traffic and everything in that original plan. And there is nothing that's really changing here at all, except that it accidentally didn't get recorded in the first place. And I think it's, there is no difference. As I mentioned before, it's dirt now, and it's going to remain dirt until he at some point sells it anyway, and then we'll have to deal with a whole nother set of situations then. I don't believe there's anything changing here except allowing a man to do with his land when he once originally got approval to do with it in the beginning. All the zoning is still the same, but so I think that's it. Thank you. We don't do since we're not doing the iPads, we're going back to you all.
The motion passes.
So we're 6-1 then.
6-1, yep.
Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you for being here, Vincent. All right, our next item on the agenda. And this was also something that was before us before, correct? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Regarding RZ 23-0005, ordinance number 03-2024, rezoning parcel. All this, I don't need to read all that.
No, you don't have to read it all. All right, application 3150 Howland Boulevard is ordinance number 09-2023. This request is to rezone 1.37 acres from professional business to retail commercial. This rezone did come before you guys in July 2023 and was approved with a 5-2 vote. On August 28, 2023, the City Commission sent the application back to the Planning and Zoning Board. This is the aerial and current zoning of the property. This shows that the land is currently wooded and vacant. The current zoning is professional business, which is used to provide a transitional area between commercial uses and residential. The current zoning allows for single-family homes and office development.
I'm sorry, we need to, it's a quasi.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
That's okay. Hey.
My apologies also.
No, that's okay. No big deal. Does anyone who's going to offer testimony in this case, would they please stand and raise their right hand?
Oh, when you did it earlier? Yeah. No, that was for the public.
But it's case specific. I'm sorry. Sorry to make you swear again. Okay. You swear to tell the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God. Thank you. And then, Mr. Chair, will you also then poll your board with regards to any
quasi
communication? Thank you.
Has anyone on the board had any contact quasi ex parte communication with any other parties involved in this?
No. Gonzalez, no.
No
Mayor?
I'm sorry. No
Sorry.
communication, but I drove by the site.
No communication.
Member Rodriguez?
None.
And alternate member, Ms. Carter?
No, I've had no communication, but I have driven by the site.
And Vice Chair?
No communication, but I did visit the site again today.
And I have not had any communication whatsoever or driven by the site. I just know where it is. Thank you. Okay, thank you.
Sorry about that, guys. All right, professional business is what it's currently zoned. As I said, this is a transitional area we normally use between commercial and residential areas. The current zoning right now allows for single-family homes as well as office development. So it's very limited. The proposed retail commercial zoning allows for neighborhood-oriented commercial development. This permits retail, restaurants, offices. There's a lot of things it will permit. But the intended use is for an oil change. If they do the oil change as presented to you guys on your desks, it will require a conditional use, which means it will come back before you for approval. This is the map showing the current, the proposed, and the future land uses.
Per the future and subject prior to designation of commercial C.
This is the layout that was provided to you on your desk. This is the new layout showing the Take 5 oil change as well as a retail building. These are the matters of consideration in which planning and development services use to ensure all elements of a rezone follow a comprehensive plan. And it's important to note the rezone aligns with the future land use map, as well as the commercial uses will be beneficial to the residents of Deltona and also add a tax base. And during the conditional use and final site plan, the application will be required to do a traffic impact analysis. And staff does recommend, the Planning and Zoning Board recommend the City Commission approve ordinance number 09-2023, amending the official zoning map to rezone a 1.37 acre parcel located at 3150 Howland Boulevard from professional business to retail commercial. And do you guys have any questions?
I thought we had our original, we'd already agreed to change the zoning, correct?
Yes, so you guys agreed to approve the rezoning. It was for a drive-through restaurant. Now they're bringing it back. The City Commission sent it back. The difference now is it's going to be an oil change, and they also, Exhibit B within your packet is something provided from the applicant, which restricts the uses for this lot.
Right, to have an oil change business that, and this is a sure thing that if all goes well, that's what's going to be put here is the oil change business.
That is what I'm told, yes, sir. And I'll let the applicant talk to you later about that.
Now, as long as, and there's a lot of different things. Come back for the plans. Please do. Yes, ma'am.
What is the property adjacent to it, both east and west side? Where are they?
So you have the Dunkin' Donuts next door, and then the other side is going to be a church.
That's a church and
Yes,
Dunkin'
sir.
Donut, and then an oil change
Will be in the middle with the retail use. The retail use.
Do we know what's going to do to traffic there at all?
The uses that they're providing is actually less than what the fast food restaurant or the drive-through restaurant was going to provide.
I'm going to point that out. It'd be a lot less. Any other questions for me?
Jessica, can you expand on why the City Commission sent the application back to us? Was it just because of the change of use?
I believe it was sent back because they didn't have a definitive user for it. I believe that was, and then we also, because of that, that's why the restrictions were added by the applicant of what can be and cannot be there.
Okay, so when this application comes back to us as the conditional use, are we going to have some information with regards to the proposed curb cut as well as the connections and traffic information from staff or from the city's traffic engineer to give us some background on that?
Yeah, they will have to provide the traffic impact analysis, so that will be reviewed then, so it'll be brought to you. The curb cut will be on their conceptual plan. The final site plans where we review everything more intense. That does not come before you guys. Final site plans is done internally with DRC.
And the traffic engineer for the city is a member of DRC?
No, we have our city engineer, and then normally we'll send it out to a consultant as well to be reviewed during the site plan.
Okay, so the only time we're going to get an opportunity to look at this again is as a conditional use application?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
A question, on the properties just north of there, are they residential?
Yes, sir.
Yes. And if I read this right, I saw, yeah, here it is, that they still have to, the actual business and developer who develops that business, this is a conditional use, so it still means it has to come before us again,
Yes.
the Planning and Zoning Board, before they even get that approved, that the use of it, because it's it falls under that under the zoning as a conditional use. So, so this is. I said we had already approved, we did approve it for a fast food restaurant, but that was to make sure that he could maybe sell it to a fast food restaurant. So some folks are getting their wish. It's not going to be that.
Eric, I think there's quite a difference between a drive-through restaurant to an oil change.
Right. Well, I agree with you.
I think that's like night and day. And
in which way, positive or negative?
If I lived on just north of there, one of those two houses, residents there, I don't think I would be very, very happy having a oil change facility just behind me. That's just my thought.
Be a lot less traffic.
What's the setback requirement? Isn't that 50 feet from the rear property line to the pond edge, or all the way to the developed property line?
I can let the applicant talk on that. I don't have the sheet in front of me. I believe it's 50 because they have a power easement back there.
Yeah, so that's all densely wooded as well, is it not? So this concept plan shows a 70-foot setback to the edge of the pond, and it's all densely wooded, correct?
Yes.
So the visibility through that dense wooded area, if you were standing in the middle of the pond, is 100% opacity? Maybe the applicant could speak to that?
I would let the applicant speak on that.
Thank you.
This mentions and a retail building.
Yes.
Is that a future potential, or is there do they have an application for the retail building too coming forward?
So that will be in the final site plan. That does not need a conditional use.
Right. That's already allowed anyway.
Yes.
Okay.
What section of the code talks about the Planning and Zoning Board's responsibilities as a reviewing body for the CUP? And what documentation does the staff need to provide us for that application?
For the conditional use?
Yes, ma'am.
The conditional use, we will provide you a staff report. We will provide you any traffic that we have. You get a conceptual plan, as well as, I apologize, I'm trying to think of that. They have to have, well, it's reviewed by everyone in DRC. So you're going to have comments from everyone that has to be satisfied. And then because it has to be reviewed by DRC, it will be stamped by DRC as well as a conditional use.
So it goes to DRC first.
Yes.
Comments are addressed, plans revised, and then it comes to us for a review.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
And I might include the applicant will be required to submit a full traffic impact analysis at the time of the site plan, also for those who are concerned about the traffic issue, which I think will be less than the restaurant, but
a lot
I understand that. And shorter operating hours. Thank you.
And there's a chart,
Erica.
page 5 of 7, that shows the ITE numbers, the difference between fast food versus retail/oil change, that shows a massive reduction in trips.
Right. Yeah, I saw that somewhere. Would you say page 5? Or?
Page 5 of 7.
There it is. Yep. Drainage, transportation systems, fast food, yep. Even at a bigger building, it's going to be less impact. So Okay.
All right, I'm going to let the applicant come up, and if you know him, has any more questions for me.
Please do. If you could come up and state your name and where you're from, your resume, your history.
Good evening. My name's William Barfield.
And I'm sorry, sir, could you put the mic up kind of towards, so yeah.
Excuse me. Is that better?
Folks, so we get it all on. Thank you.
My name's William Barfield, William E. Barfield and Associates, 225 South Westmont, Suite 2040, Altamont Springs. Just wanted to give you a little historical background. We came before this commission in July, and at that time we were planning on a fast food restaurant. There was not a contract in place, although we were working with someone, and there were some concerns at that particular point in time about what was actually going to be on the property. And I think there was 2 dissenting votes, and we were passed on with an approval to the City Commission. When we got to the City Commission had some concerns about other uses which was never discussed. And instead of taking a denial, we asked the City Commission to allow us to work with staff and to send it back to Planning and Zoning so that we could work out a resolution that would be beneficial to the Commission and address their concerns. Thus, we prepared a set of restrictions to go into the ordinance which limits certain types of businesses that would be objectionable, and some of which were specifically addressed by the Commission at that particular point in time. We now have a contract for Take 5 oil change. That building, the actual traffic section of the building, will be well over 100 feet away from the property behind us. There is a power line there, and then there is this power line 70 feet. There's a retention pond on the Howland side of the power line, and then the building is further set back forward towards the street. So there is plenty of screening to the neighbors in the back. It will be less dense and less traffic than a fast food restaurant. And what's significant here is that what we're asking for is consistent with your future land use plan. There is no residential between the commercial and the adjacent property. So all we're asking is for a continuation of the zoning that is already there, completely consistent. We will have to provide sufficient traffic analysis on the conditional use, and if the traffic's not there, then we'll have to deal with that at that time. But at least at this point in time, we'd like to go ahead and get our property rezoned so we can go forward with this contract and also pursue the retail building.
Would you be able to address Mr. Rodriguez's concern, and I understand where he's coming from on when you think of a store or a business that's bringing in a lot of car oil, they're changing oil, what in today's, the impact economically and what they do with that now, and what are they going to do with the oil, where they going to store it and take it, whatever?
That particular business is a highly regulated business, as you can imagine. It's probably more regulated than service stations. They have a capture system that they have to maintain. They're regularly inspected. They can't just dump the oil. They have to dispose of it through regulated disposal facilities, pickups. So it's not going to be a situation. Also, if you take a look at these types of stores, they're very clean. The traffic comes around, they roll through and they roll out. There's not a lot of noise. They don't use air guns or things of that nature or compressors. So it's really not going to be anything that would be disturbing to the peace and quiet of the neighbors to the rear.
I don't know if that helps any, Mr. Rodriguez, but I was curious too.
Is this contract a ground lease, or are you selling this portion of the parcel?
It's a contract to sell.
Contract to sell, so you're going to have to plat it?
Yes.
Yes.
Hello. Good evening, sir. Thank you for Exhibit B with the prohibited uses. If I could just confirm, would that also apply to the other retail building?
Yes, it would.
Okay, excellent. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'd like to ask real quick, what concerns did the city have?
As far as the particular uses? They were concerned with, there's some value stores that are in town, apparently quite a few of them, and they were concerned about that.
Dollar stores.
Yes.
Okay, just wondering about that. Okay.
Okay, are there any other questions on the board?
No, sir.
Do you have any other statements, sir?
I don't. Thank you.
I think everybody feels comfortable with it. Shall we, can we move to a vote? I make a motion, please. Someone.
Could I just remind everyone, when you vote, please explain your
Say
reason
why.
for it? Yeah, thank you.
I'd like to make a motion that the Planning and Zoning Board recommend approval to the City Commission of ordinance number 09-2023, amending the official zoning map to rezone a 1.37 acre parcel of land located at 3150 Howland Boulevard from professional business to retail commercial.
Thank you. Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second, yeah, sure.
Thank you. All right, shall we take a poll?
Member Gonzalez?
Started that at Nick. I'm going to vote for approval. Reason being is we've pretty much already gone over this, and I think everybody on the board knows the way I feel about fast food restaurants in Deltona. We've got enough of them. So, to have something like this, and coming from the maritime industry, I know the regulations that they pound into these companies when it comes to waste oil. So I'm, not concerned about the spillage or any of that, or the environmental problems that it may come to, because I know that they're well regulated. The retails, I guess we'd like to see what eventually comes in. But to move forward on this, I'm going to vote yes.
Alternate D'Erico?
I vote yes to approve to go to the commission. It fits the land use map. Will be less impact to the area, less traffic, shorter operating hours, and the applicant provided voluntarily a list of prohibited uses.
Member Sixma?
I vote yes. I find it consistent with the rest of the surrounding zoning, and I am always for less impact on our roads and surrounding neighborhoods, and I think this would be something that would give us less impact. And environmentally, they are very closely monitored. I know several of these people that own these fast lubes, so I'm good with it. Yes.
Alternate Cardo?
I'm voting yes. I believe that the proposed zoning aligns with the future land use map designation for the area, which is commercial. There's no wetlands on site. The rezoning to retail commercial will allow the applicant to develop the property for an oil change facility as well as a retail store location, which is consistent with the land development code requirements. I also believe that it's the requested commercial zoning classification is neighborhood-oriented and represents a logical progression of land use intensity. This change will positively impact the economy by creating jobs and adding to the tax base. And I believe that that's why I'm voting yes for this project, for this reason.
Member Rodriguez?
I vote yes. I believe it is consistent with the adopted elements of the comprehensive plan. I think it'd be minimal impact to the environment, and with all these setbacks, and the pond is not going to affect the neighbors on the other side, so therefore I'm voting yes.
Vice Chair Burke?
I vote yes for approval. I see that the zoning request aligns with the future land use designated for the area. The requested commercial zoning classification is neighborhood-oriented and represents a logical progression of land use intensity. It will result in less traffic, it appears, and the applicant must do a full traffic impact analysis. In addition, I'm also very happy that there is a list of prohibited usage that I think is consistent with the best development of the Deltona area. So I vote for approval.
Chair Alexander?
I also I vote yes and approval on it. Is that that whole corridor. Deltona wanted something that was we had no commercial. Now, previous commissioners had those. All of those little lots were originally zoned as 1.3 lots for homes. Conveniently, that's a good size for a lot of small businesses that we have going here. But that was the plan along this corridor to begin with. We do have to monitor obviously, there are certain things that we don't necessarily want to go there. It's not a free-for-all, but this is very consistent, as you all said, logical progression. I love that statement. It's of what's going on there anyway. This is a known now franchised business, and I trust that I also know from dealing with one before that they've come a long way in the restrictions and the things they have to follow for the economic reasons. I think it'll be a great addition to that corridor. We need one of those right here close by. So I vote yes. Thank you.
The motion passes unanimously.
Yes, thank you very much. All right. If we can, thank you very much, Joe. Thank you, Attorney. And now we move on to our third and last agenda item, which I was very interested to see this, which this is probably a little moot at this point, but when I saw this and I saw the first one that we just dealt with, that Mr. DeMarsh could also just throw, with this new law, the new Senate bill, he could throw affordable housing on that lot behind the concrete plant, and there wouldn't be a lot we could do about it. Isn't that true?
Well, not necessarily.
Well, I'm back.
It's much more difficult.
I mean, with certain restrictions, but there's still.
I just, if I could for a minute, since I don't think you all have dealing with an ordinance. This ordinance was written in-house. Basically, Jessica and I spent most of our time writing this, and we worked on it with the state because we had some difficult issues, and I'm sure she'll go through some of them. But the reason I wanted to jump in to begin with, your responsibilities with regards to an ordinance is very different than the land use cases that you have. This is not quasi-judicial. This is just straight. You all listen and then you vote. You don't have to disclose anything. There is no swearing in. This ordinance will also go, though, from your board to the commission, and the commission will then have it in front of them. We have been getting a number of calls with regards to Live Local, and it's kind of hot all over the state, but there are some very interesting parts of it that I'm sure Jessica's going to reveal to you. But I just wanted to know that your standard of review is different here, and so it's basically you're going to hear a presentation, and I think when it goes in front of the commission, there may be more public comment. I don't know if there will be or not, but in the end, all you're going to do is basically listen to it and think, and then vote with regards to whether you think this ordinance may, have some value to the city or not. So I wanted to just tell you all that to begin with, so you kind of understood the structure of the presentation, and you still can ask any questions, and Jessica will do her best to answer them, and I'll come in if I need to also. This is something that can, depending on how a community uses it, it can be very valuable, or it cannot. There's a lot of issues as to how the state put this together, and she's going to try and share that with you.
Thank you. Thank you, Attorney Singh. Appreciate that. So you have the floor, Ms.
All right, hello again. Planning and Zoning Board. Ordinance 04-2224 is to add Chapter 76, Affordable Housing, to the Land Development Code.
Is that mic on, Jessica, for sure?
Yes.
Oh, yes, it just didn't pick up as well. No, it's all right.
I move around too, so that doesn't help.
Hears.
All right.
Thank you.
The Live Local Act was signed into state law with an effective date of July 1st, 2023. The purpose of the new chapter is to ensure staff follows Senate Bill 102 while establishing requirements and procedures for affordable housing based on the bill. Section 166.041517F speaks regarding municipalities that have less than 20% of their land being designated for commercial or industrial use. The city has 7.92% of this land. Therefore, any Live Local project that comes before the city and these designations must be mixed use. This means it has to have 20% commercial on the property. The purpose of this chapter is to facilitate development of affordable multifamily housing, provide the zoning districts allowed for Live Local Act, establish guidelines, and provide the administrative approval process. The Live Local Act specifies that in order to utilize any commercial or industrial land, the project must be mixed use with a minimum of 20% commercial and a minimum of 65% residential. I apologize, it said 60, it's actually 65. This is something that cannot be waived or changed. It's important to note that if a mixed-use PUD is used for Live Local, the whole project can be utilized as just residential. The Affordable Housing Project Review Committee, AHPRC, will be an appointed subcommittee that reviews affordable housing projects that are submitted under Chapter 76. The agendas will be posted online, but the committee will only meet if there are items to review. Live Local eligibility has many requirements, but these are just a few. 40% of the units must remain affordable for 30 years. Mixed-use developments must have at least 65% of the total square footage used for residential. Applications will be reviewed by both the DRC and AHPRC. And applications will have to provide or follow the concurrency the city currently has. So water, traffic, sewer, schools, everything like that will have to be followed. These are some of the dimensional requirements for the Live Local Act. The max density that is allowed is 20 units per acre, which is the highest that we have for the city, which is much lower than other places. I just want to point that one out. And there is a minimum of 20% open space.
Okay.
Oh, I apologize. Wrong button. There is a caveat regarding parking stating applicant can request for a 5% decrease from our land development code requirements if they are within 1 mile of a bus stop. With that being said, it has to be, the walkway has to be enhanced, it has to be a sidewalk, it has to have shade trees. And all applications will follow land development code regulations for all other regulations not covered under Chapter 76. Therefore, staff does recommend, the Planning and Zoning Board recommend, the City Commission approve Ordinance 04-2024 by adopting Chapter 76 Affordable Housing into the city's Land Development Code in order to provide for the Live Local Act. And I'm sure you guys have questions.
Well, I think I commend you all for being on the front of this and getting in on so quickly. Does anyone on the board have any questions for Ms. Entwistle?
Quick question, if I may. I'm not understanding something. Under the zoning requirements slide, there was a statement, if a mixed-use planned unit development is used, the entire project can be residential?
Yes.
Well, if it's mixed use, how can it all be used as residential? What am I missing there?
It is under the Senate bill that because we only have 20%, we have less than 20% of our zoning being commercial or industrial or BPUD, that they had to use the 20% or use at least 20% of their land as mixed use or commercial. So when they're using a mixed use piece, it can be just residential because residential is normally allowed in MPUD. And I just want to note there's only 2 parcels in the city that are MPUDs. One is Halifax, which is already using their entitlements for apartments that are normal apartments, market rate, and then the other one is the golf course.
Okay. Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you, Jessica.
Okay. Okay, so you all did a lot of work on this. Again, I commend you for this and being on the forefront of getting in front of this, since our state is making you. So, any other questions about this, or any understandings and misunderstandings or anything? We could then someone could move for a motion to approve this.
All right, I'll make a motion. Oh, I'm so sorry.
Or I said, or not approve it. I'm sorry. I want to say.
I'll make a motion to recommend the City Commission approve ordinance number 042024 by adopting Chapter 76, Affordable Housing, into the city's Land Development Code in order to provide for the Live Local Act.
All right, motion made by alternate member DeErico. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Second, Mr. Sixma. We have a second. Shall we take a poll vote?
Member Gonzalez?
I vote yes.
Captain Ron?
Alternate DeErico?
Yes.
Member Sixma?
Yes.
Alternate Cardo?
Yes.
Member Rodriguez?
Yes.
Vice Chair Burke?
Yes.
Chair Alexander?
And yes for me.
The motion passes unanimously.
Oh, if this is going to be coming up to us before in another time. So, do we have any staff comments?
I just want to thank you guys for changing the date for us. And that's all I have. I don't know if anyone else has anything else.
I just wanted to wish everyone happy holidays.
Put your mic on, Marcia. Sorry.
I wanted to wish everyone happy holidays, and we have been through some difficult times lately, but you all have performed admirably. I am always, whenever anybody asks me about the P&Z, I really brag about how well you all do, how serious and professional you are, and that it is a board that I very much enjoy working for. So thank you all.
Well, thank you for that.
Thank you, Marcia.
That. And Merry Christmas to you, too.
Yep. You.
And to all the staff.
Yep. And to all a good night.
But are there any other board committee members' comments anyone would like to make?
Motion for adjournment?
Happy holidays.
That Mary, and I know you
Happy
had
holidays
to get, so.
to the staff and everyone.
Oh, I do want to tell the staff, good job. I like these. I like the layout.
I do too.
Easy to
Very
maneuver
nice.
through, so.
And I will go on the
Thank you.
record as apologizing also to you once again that I was not inferring that you all do a fantastic job, and I'm very proud to work with y'all. Had nothing to do with my other personal feelings towards.
I only wanted to clarify. I apologize. I just wanted to clarify for you guys.
Thank you very much. All right, if that's the end of it, we will adjourn for this meeting. Thank you. Thank you. God bless you. And what do we do with these? Do we keep?
You can keep them there. We're going to reuse them for the next meeting.
So I won't have all this wonderful